Hey, what is up, nation? In this session, we're going to be modeling a splay leg end table in Sketchup. Okay, so this is going to be sort of a beginner to intermediate tutorial. And first, if you don't know what a splay leg table is, it looks something like this. Let me see if I can splay leg end table. Let's try that. I don't think I'm going to use one that is so wide as this. I think it's going to be a little bit more vertical, kind of like one of these. Feel free to be inspired by stuff that you find. Maybe you like these little curves, so add that into your design if you want. But we're going to do something pretty simple, kind of like this, but it's just going to be very vanilla, should I say. We're just going to be straight here. So kind of like this one. I am actually using some measurements that came in a book that I got called Cabinetmaking, Illustrated Cabinetmaking. So we're going to be making a splayed end table based on that. Feel free to check out that book. I'll link it in the description below. So I'm going to hit R here to make the rectangle tool. And then you can see in the bottom right that I have some dimensions. Now I currently have it set to architectural. So if you want to change that, if you're working in metric, or you would like to work in metric, just go to, let me do that again, Window, Model Info, and then under Units, if it's in architectural, it has to be in inches. So if you change it to like decimal, you can then change it to millimeters or meters or centimeters. I'm going to keep it on architectural for this video. So I'm going to hit R here for the rectangle tool. And that's going to give me a rectangle. Now you can see in the bottom right that there's a bunch of numbers going crazy. I have a specific set of numbers that I want to use. So I'm going to type in 23.25 inches, comma, 20 inches. So that's going to be the size of my tabletop. And then I'm going to hit enter. You see it's going to draw it. Now if I get the tape measure tool and I measure, you can see that I do have that size. Now it's not giving me the inches, it's giving me feet plus inches. But if you do the math, you can see that that is the correct size. So I'm going to double click on this. So it's going to highlight everything. And I'm going to do make group, just so that this is a group. And then I'm going to click into that group. So just very quickly click in, hit P for push pull, and then just give this a little bit of height. So let's say, let's go 3/4 of an inch. So you can see in the bottom right, when I was doing that, it's giving me those numbers again. So you can either type this in, or what I just did is I got there and then I just clicked. It's always safer to type it in, but you don't necessarily have to. Hitting M for move, and then you can see there's a little blue dash line. That's saying that I'm moving in that blue axis. So that's good. That's the way I want to move. That's the vertical axis. Alternatively, you can also use the arrow keys on your keyboard to lock to a specific axis. So the up arrow on your keyboard will lock to the green axis. The blue axis, sorry. The right arrow key will lock to the red axis, and the left arrow key will lock to the green axis. So if I hit up, you can see we're going in that blue direction. And then I'm going to type in the measurement, which is 28.75 inches. You can kind of disregard what just happened there. I have a number pad, and I have the 7 on my number key set to go to top. So every time I hit that, it goes to top instead of actually typing the number 7. Okay, so now that we have our top, what I want to do is get an idea for the kind of angle that I want on the legs. So I hit L here to bring up the line tool, and I'm going to just click this corner. You see you get that little dot, and then I can draw on that blue axis again. Again, if you feel more comfortable, you can press the up arrow, and that will lock to the blue axis. And then I can snap to the origin here. So you see I have a straight line that's in the vertical axis. Now what I want to do is I want to get this line to come in a little bit. And I want all of these to be the same, all the legs. So what I'm going to do is draw across hit L for the line tool again, and then draw all the way across. And you can see that now I have a line that goes across, and I want to try to get this line in here to go in here, to just angle it in. So I'm actually going to finish this to draw a triangle. That way, if I wanted to, I could just draw whatever here, but I'm going to hit Q here to make a, this is a the rotate tool here. And then I'm on this face, you can see it's like that. I'm going to hold shift. That's going to lock to that face no matter where I go. And that way I can select this corner. That way I can rotate this a specific angle. But because I'm going in that direction, it's gonna stay in that line. You can see that line up top is moving, and that's fine for right now. So we're just gonna move in, let's say 15 degrees. That's too much. Let's go half of that. So again, hold shift to lock to that face. Then we're gonna come in. So we said 15. Let's try 7. Oh, there we go with my 7. Let's try again. So 7. We're going to come in 7 degrees. Now that looks okay. Maybe just a little bit less. Again, hold shift. Let's try, I think 3 might feel good. So now you can see we have this little gap at the top, which is not ideal. But I'm actually just going to keep this. I'm going to group it, and I'm going to just draw another line. You just use that as a tracing tool. So I'm going to draw over that. You can see I get this little point which says on edge in group. I'm going to hold shift here, and that's going to lock to that direction, and then choose a line that is near the face. That way, then I can delete this reference. I have a line that actually goes all the way to the top, because before, when we changed that angle, it shortened the whole thing. So now we have a line that goes all the way up. So it's perfect. That's what we want. And we're going to use this as a tool to get all the way up. So what I'm going to do here is draw a rectangle. You can see that when you get to a certain, when you're locked to that uniform axis, it gives you that little option there. So I'm going to hit, select this little line here after drawing my rectangle, and then we're going to use the follow me tool. So I'm going to just click that after I had this line selected, just that line only, hit follow me, then we can select our shape. Now you see here that we have the shape at the top, but we have this sort of just single tube going all the way up. So not exactly what we want, because we want it to get wider, to taper as we get towards the top. But just so that I can work on this on its own, I'm just going to select everything and hit make group, so that I can just double click into this. And I have a shortcut set up to hide everything else. I would recommend you doing that. I'll post a video in the description, so you can do that if you would like to do that. It's one of the most useful things that I do in SketchUp. So it's helpful for doing stuff like this. But when I select this face here, I can then press S for scale. I don't want to scale it out here. I want to scale it towards the middle. So I'm going to select this guy, and I'm going to scale it by 1.5. It's going to just scale it about that much. And now you can see that we have a really nice looking leg here. So what I'm going to do is actually right click on this and make it a component. We're going to call this table leg. Table leg. Okay, so we have our leg, we've made it a component, and now we just want to get it to the other side here. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to hit M for move, and then when I start to move it, you can see that it wants to take that, but I want to make a copy of it. So I'm going to hit Control, and it's going to make a duplicate. Now we're going to come all the way over to this side, and I need to like flip this, and you can rotate it, but a quick way to do this is if you right click on your component and do flip along, you can see the red direction is this way, so we want to flip this component along the red direction, and that'll give us what we want. You can see we have this here. Now the bottom here is lined up with the top, so We just want to come all the way over, select that top portion. You can see we have another leg. Now these are both components, so I can do the same thing on the other side. And when I edit one of them, it's going to edit all 4 of them. So we're going to do the same thing. Set this, hit Control to make a copy. Make sure you're on that green axis so you're going the same direction. Going to take those, flip along. Now we're going to be the green axis. Okay? So we have that, and then we're going to continue moving it to where it needs to go. I'm holding Shift here to lock to the green axis. And then I can select this little point right there. And you can see that I have my 4 table legs. Okay, so our table is looking pretty good. One thing that you may have noticed or thought of is that, hey, Tony, this little gap is going to show up. So we want to fix that. And now that we have these 4 corners set, we can actually edit all of them at one time by editing a single one. So I'm going to click into this component that we have. And what I'm going to do is just keep this, trace it, and then as we're tracing, you can see it says on edge. I'm going to hold Shift here, just go all the way up. Okay? So I'm actually going to delete the rest of this as well. And the reason that I'm doing that is because it's going to be really hard for me to get that shape without getting sort of like a bevel or a crease in that. So I'm just going to essentially redo it. It was super easy to do, so I don't have a problem doing that. Select the line, go to Follow Me, and select this, and then we're going to go out 1.5. Okay, so now you can see the legs are actually going through the table, which isn't exactly what we want. I'm going to select this tabletop so we can trim these at the bottom. Now this could be a cool time to add a little feature where these connect. I'm not going to do that in this video, but as you start to do stuff in SketchUp, you'll notice cool little design things that you can do. So what I just did there is I copied this table and then went into this group and then hit Edit, Paste in Place. That way I can get the leg here and the table in the same area. So that then I can right click, select everything. Alternatively, you can do, when you're in that group, do Control A. That'll also select everything. Right click, go to Intersect Faces with Selection. Now what that does, you can see there's a line here. There's also one on the bottom. So when I delete that, I can just actually come in here and select these faces I don't want and delete them. To make that a little bit quicker, I'm going to just hit Control Z to go back. If you hit E, you can actually just sort of like swipe over everything and delete that way as well. That's going to erase. E is the eraser tool. Then just trace over this top piece to get that top back. And there you go. Now we don't have that little gap at the top. The last thing that we want to do is do these little, I don't know what, skirts. I don't know if it's actually called a skirt. Between these. So we're going to need like this little, it's going to be flat here, it's going to be inset and have a little bit of thickness. So, but this side is tapered and this side is also tapered. So what I'm going to do is draw a rectangle that's in the green axis. So I hit R there to draw that rectangle. You can see that when I did that, it's in the, this is in the red axis. Again, with this, you can use your arrow keys. So we're going to draw on the green axis for this. And just make it larger than it's going to need to be. Select this, triple click it, make it a group, and then make it a component. I always like to do it this way. I'm just going to call this a skirt. I don't know if that's actually what it's called. It's called an apron. Apron. Okay. So then we're going to come into that. Now, if this gets really fancy, you won't be able to do what I'm going to do. Like if you have a lot of design, because this isn't a square table, you can't use the same component if you have lots of fancy stuff going on. But anyway, I'm going to click into this, and then I have a little shortcut set up again where I can turn everything back on so I can see it. So I'm going to select this little line here, hit M for move, and then move in that red direction. make sure that when I have that right direction, I hit shift, and then I'm going to select this little point up here at the top. And that's going to give me a rough estimate of where everything's going to be. Now what I want to do is I want to scale this uniformly so that it fits inside of this whole leg, but it's still straight. So I'm going to hit select everything, hit S, and select this side piece. Now you can see it's only scaling to one side. If you hold Control, it'll scale both sides in the same direction. So we'll select that. Looks pretty good to me. You may want to do something different here. I think this seems fairly appropriate for this situation. You may want to move this in or out. Let's move this just a little bit. That seems pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this and then extrude it or push-pull it. So I hit P there to push-pull. We're going to come all the way out. And I'm actually going to extend it past this on both sides. So we're going to select this edge too and move it past this. Okay. Now we could do the same thing we did before with the intersect with selection, but I want to do this a little bit differently just so I can teach you another way of how to do this. So what I'm going to do is copy these two legs by hitting Control C. It's going to copy those and then go into this group. I'm going to turn everything off. Go to Edit, Paste in Place, and you can see that I have these things, they're intersecting. I just want to make this a group just for a little bit. So we have this as a group. And then what I want to do is click in a blank area, and you want to go to find the solid tools. Now the solid tools are a really cool feature, and you can use them in lots of ways. So we used the intersect tool previously. Now we're going to use the subtract tool. So if you mouse over that, it'll say subtract first from second and keep only the result in the model. So what I want to do is subtract this leg from that piece. You can see it got rid of that, and then do that again. First from second. You can see we get those little tapers. And I can just select the rest of that and get rid of it. So now we have like a really cool feature. Now we want to do the same thing, make sure that that's a component. It is. So bring this over all the way and then flip it along. We want to go in the red direction. So what I'll do here is I'll move this so it's in the red. I want to lock it to there. Now, just so that I make sure that I move it so it's the same distance in, just select this distance. So I still have that selected over here, and then I'm just going to move it the same distance in. You see, we get that same little feature. Okay, so the last thing that we need to do is we need to get this apron on the other two sides, but that's not going to be identical. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy this off to the side. Make another copy of it, select it, set it there. So just hit M for the move tool and then Control to make a copy. I can hit Q here to bring up the rotate tool. Now it's super difficult to do that, so I'm getting the blue axis there, but to be safe, I'll hit the up arrow on my keyboard so that I get that, and then rotate this 90 degrees. You can see in the bottom right, I'm just going to type in 90 and then hit enter, and we get that. Now what happens if I take this and try to move it is it's going to move all of them, all the three. So a quick way to make a new addition of a component is just to make it unique. So if you right click on a component and say make unique, that's going to make a unique copy. Now when I go to push-pull that, you can see that it's only doing that on that one instance. I'm going to go back a little bit so that it is the same copy. So, because I'm going to show you how we can use that a little bit later if you had forgotten to do that. Okay, so let's assume that you were just going to maybe not do it in that particular order, make this unique, and then flip it and pretty much do what we had done before. Let's say that for whatever reason, you decided to move this in. So let's just measure this and see how far we ended up moving this in. So it was about 3/16 of an inch. So I'm going to take this and move it in 3/16 of an inch. Okay, so we have that in, and then we can actually make a copy of it on the other side. Just again, using the M tool and Control to make a copy. Let's go to here. Then we'll move it that same distance. You can always type it in or use references to move things. Okay, so we have that in the same direction. Now, the problem that we had before was that when we go to move this, it goes in the direction. But now we have two components that are not the correct component. So you can actually select both of them and right-click and go to Make Unique. And that will make it so that both of those are unique but identical. So because of the way that we selected them, we can push-pull and come all the way across. Now you can see the push-pull is actually going in a particular direction. It isn't the right direction. There's like a little kink here. So the push-pull and the move tool are really similar. So in this particular case, we just want to stay in that axis. What's happening with the push-pull is that because this is angled, it's push-pulling it in that angled direction. So we just want to move it in the green direction. So we're going to move it and stay to that green axis. And then I'm going to hold Shift here and just find that face. And it's going to make that little guy right there. Okay, so aesthetically we have the table that we want. But if we want to add any tenons to these so that it can sort of slot into the legs, we haven't modeled that yet. So what I'm going to do is the side, let's say, how wide is this? So what I'm going to do is just measure this. And let's just draw a line for reference here. Let's say we make this 3/4 of an inch. It's too wide. So let's say our tenon is going to be a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to draw a line from the center point here, 0.25, because we want to go half out. Then I can actually take this line and copy it. I could do the same thing again by just drawing it if I wanted to. Then we're just going to make sure that pink axis is on. When we're drawing this, just make sure that it is actually on that face. Now we should have had a line here, but I wasn't in that group. So instead of redrawing everything, I'm just going to select those lines by selecting everything in the marquee after I select this select tool. And then hit Control X. That's going to cut and then go into that group and then paste in place. Now you can see that that is actually in there. So we can push-pull in this direction. You can see because of the angle again, we are stuck. So we actually can't do that like I had wanted. So we're going to use the Follow Me tool in this particular instance. Just go, let's say we just come out a 1/2 inch. So we're going to select this line and then select the Follow Me tool. You can see things are kind of weird right now because it's not a very long distance, and sometimes that's going to happen. So we can reconstruct the rest of this by just using lines. So we just connect this and this, and then we should be able to delete these lines. Let's get out of the way. Delete this line over here, and the bottom should be fine. And we just want those colors to be the same. So I'm going to select them, holding down Control while I select, and then reverse faces. Then I'm going to just, while I have this selected, just hit M for move, and then make a copy all the way over. Flip along the green direction. Then smush that back down to here. And then I'm going to hit Control C there to make a copy so that when we go to the other side, it's a little bit easier. Now you should be able to just delete this line here so that you don't have a little line on either side. So I'm just using the eraser tool by pressing E and then just clicking on those lines, and that gets rid of them. So now we should have those two finished, and we just need to do these other two. So edit, paste in place. We use the rotate tool here, hit Q for the rotate tool, and then rotate this 90 degrees. Enter. Select the midpoint. It's actually the end point because there's two lines there. Then I can set that there. Make a copy by moving and then hitting Control. Select this, flip along the green direction. It's that direction here. Smush that in. And then now there's some extra lines there. So what I need to do is explode that. I can actually explode this as well. We're already in the group, so shouldn't actually need that. And then you can either delete those by selecting them and pressing delete, or use the eraser tool. It's all sort of a matter of preference. The eraser tool can be quicker. So now we should have those little tenons set. And you may want them to be thinner, depending on what you're doing. So we'll take these. I'm just going to copy all of these. Actually, I only need 2 of these. Select this. Go into this group that we had done before. That's our component. I'm just going to make this a group so that I can perform this option, paste in place so that those 2 go in. Now the issue that we're having here is that these overlap, and I should have measured, but I didn't. So what I'm going to do is just push these in a little bit. So we'll push those both in an 1/8, and that'll just give us a little bit more breathing room. So do that on both sides, just push them in. Okay. Just get this guy as well. 1/8. Okay. So now we should have a little bit of breathing room in the middle here. I just want to make sure that this is actually set to be here, or else I could mess things up a little bit. And I want to make sure that things are set up right. So I'm just coming in here and making sure that this side looks right, and it doesn't. So what I'm going to do is select this face, just explode that. I just want to make sure that this is in fact correct. Paste in place. Push this in. There we go. That should be better. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select these 2 sides, 2 opposite sides, hit Control, and then come into this group. You can see that or this component rather, paste in place, and then we're going to use our solid tools here. Solid tools. And since I have these other 2 groups in here, it can get kind of confusing what I'm doing because of the way that I'm doing this. But these are copies of what was on the outside. So there's 2 components actually sitting on top of each other when I'm outside of this. So what I'm going to do is use the subtract feature. Subtract the first from the second. So we just select that and then do the same thing here again. So subtract the first from the second. So that way we get some little joints here for that to sit in, and all of them are actually like that. So if you want to do sort of like an exploded axon of this, for whatever reason, you get something like this. So hopefully this helped. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. And as always, happy hacking.
Alright designers, just because this episode of Designer Hacks is over doesn't mean we're leaving you out in the cold. Tony's got tons of great content available at designerhacks.com. So join Design Nation right now, and we'll see you on the next episode of Designer Hacks.